Hi, everyone. So today I'm going to be talking about what a test garment is and why it's so important to do a test garment when you are having bespoke clothing made. So we have a test garment for a few different reasons. The most important is that everybody's body is very unique. And even if your measurements and proportions are pretty standard, you definitely want to see a garment in fabric on your body before you cut out sort of the final garment fabric, whether that's wool or silk. Usually those fabrics are pretty expensive. And so you want to make sure that the pattern works and that everything fits before you start cutting those out. Another reason why I like doing a test garment for clients is that it allows me to actually work through the project on a test fabric and also work through the construction steps before I'm doing that on the final fabric. And so I'll talk a little bit about why that matters, especially for pants. So this is a pattern for a new client. She's wanting a pair of trousers. She has proportionally larger hips to a smaller waist. And so pants are going to be difficult for her to find from ready to wear brands. So the first thing that we did is we chose a pattern. After our consult, I asked her a ton of questions, essentially interviewed her, so to speak, and then made some recommendations based on the information that she told me. And so we opted with a pretty traditional trouser with a wider leg, um, that gives her some body in the leg, but that's very fitted in the waist and the hips. So a few of the things we discussed, the first were pocket types. So you can see on this test garment that there's actually a patch pocket here that's been lined and stitched on. And then there is also an inseam pocket. And so the test garment allows for both pocket types to be included so that when she tries these on, she can decide which one she likes best. You can see that there are darts in these trousers. The dart is actually covered by this pocket on this side, but this allows for better fitting between a wider hip up to a more narrow waist. The other thing that we discussed was the closure on these pants. So you can see that this will actually have a button fly and there will be buttons sewn on and buttonholes. But if she preferred a zipper, it would be really simple to just draft this as a zip fly. Another thing that is a little bit different for these is that depending on um, how she wants these to be done in the end, we talked about a back pocket. And so let me flip these over. So currently there's no back pocket on these. You just see the back dart here and then the waistband. But I did prepare a patch pocket with a mitered hem to actually try on when she comes for her fitting. The nice thing about this is that depending on how these lay on her body, she might want her pockets to be higher or lower. They might look more flattering on her body to be farther out to the side seam. And so you can actually play with proportion. Um, Whether people look flattering in a garment is usually all a matter of visual cues and visual tricks, and so you can actually make the uh, your rear look higher or smaller based on the placement of your pocket. So I did not stitch these on. We're going to actually do this when she comes for her fitting to figure out where they are most flattering on her. And then that will be marked on her pattern. And then if she likes this pocket, it will be added to her final garment. The other thing that we did on these, in addition to having the two different pocket styles here, and why it was important for me to do a test garment, is that the construction changes just a little bit depending on the type of pocket. So it was important for me to do both and actually write down what those changes were. So for example, this pattern comes with this patch pocket, and so the instructions are based on the application of this pocket. And so the fly is actually constructed a totally different way than it is if I do a side seam pocket. And I don't want to get too technical with all of this, but essentially um, the order that the seams are sewn is different depending on the pocket type. And so as I was making the test garment, I had to take very detailed notes as to what the construction order is based on the pocket that she chooses. She can also decide details like, does she like the width of this waistband? So it is left open here so that we can make some adjustments if we want to. But essentially, if she preferred a wider waistband or a more narrow waistband, we can make those adjustments. This is also left open because right now it just has a basic waistband interfacing to it, which is pretty lightweight and pretty comfortable against the body. But there are also more firm waistband applications that we can use if she wants something to hold her in a little bit more. The other thing that I added here is that we have a center back seam on this waistband that matches up with the center back of the back of the pant. And that is so I can do some fine-tuned fitting because her hips are wider than her waist. So typically that either requires deeper darts, and so the darts would be wider and pulled in, or you need to do more detailed fitting across the back and then along the waistband here. So I actually sort of redrafted this waistband to account for anticipating those types of fitting needs. So test garments, I recommend test garments for any type of bespoke garment, whether it's a dress or a blouse or a pair of pants. Usually I don't recommend it for knit garments because they are much more forgiving. And in that way, we don't really have to fit as closely and we can sort of pin fit. But for anything that's like a fitted trouser, something that has, that we really want to have a perfect fit in the hip, in the crotch, in the waist and waistband, and we don't want any pulling across the closure, test garments are really the way to go. So this is what a test garment is. And it's a really cool way too to have a real life version of what you are imagining in your head. So once we chatted about the garment and she liked the ideas that I came up with, it's a great way to take those ideas and put them in reality so that she can see them. And again, I've got this other pocket here. And I forgot to mention this, but this was actually a rounded pocket. So this had just a curve here. And I actually made it a straight angle to further emphasize the fact that she's getting more narrow from the hip to the waist. And so it's going to actually create something for the eye to travel up to the narrow waist. So I made that adjustment as well. So this is a test garment and they are awesome. And currently your test garment is totally free. So up to this point, the consultation as well as this test garment has all been free. And then I will meet with her for her fitting. We'll go over different fabric types. So I've found some nice swatches for these pair of pants. And so we'll get to go over sort of what she wants the final garment to be. And then we'll get that ordered. And up until this point, she is not paid for anything. So this entire process is free. It's part of the bespoke garment process. And it really ensures that you get a no risk entry, really, into bespoke garments. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about the process or want to schedule a consultation with me, feel free to reach out. Thanks.